You see, many people believe that once you finally break free from a narcissist, the story simply ends there. That idea is wrong. In reality, that moment is where the real story actually begins. When a narcissist realizes they can no longer control you, they do not just walk away calmly, they unravel. Their performance starts to crack. What follows is uncomfortable to witness, but it exposes the truth. In this talk, we will explore 4 clear signs that show you have truly won against the narcissist. You did more than escape their grip. You shattered the false world they depended on. By the time you reach the end of this, you will understand what these signs are, why they appear, and what they reveal about the fragile mind hiding behind the narcissist's mask. When you finally stand up to someone who has been controlling you and you stop playing along with their rules, something very revealing happens. The narcissist's charm, that smooth and fake kindness, begins to fade. What replaces it is not peace or understanding. It is anger, a silent anger. It is the fury of someone who has lost power but cannot show it openly. That alone is one of the clearest signs that you have truly defeated them. Many people misunderstand a narcissist's charm. They mistake it for confidence or genuine strength, but it is neither. It is a performance, a carefully designed act meant to draw you in, earn your admiration, and keep you dependent. Their charm is not about connection, it is a tool for control. The moment you stop reacting to it, when you are no longer impressed by their words or intimidated by their presence, their entire mindset begins to collapse. This does not mean they will suddenly shout or break things. The most dangerous kind of rage is often silent. It hides in their eyes. You notice it when you speak to them. The forced smile, the slight tightening of the jaw, the flat tone in their voice when they realize you are no longer following their lead. It feels as if you switched on a light in a dark room where they were hiding, and suddenly they are exposed. They can no longer charm you. They can no longer guilt you. They can no longer make you feel small. That loss of control is unbearable for them. But understand this clearly. That quiet rage is not truly about you. It is about what you represent. You have become the one thing they cannot manage. That threatens the entire false reality they created to escape the truth. Narcissists live inside a fragile world they built themselves. It is like a room lined with mirrors, each one reflecting the power and superiority they want to see. When you step outside that illusion and show them you see who they really are, it is like smashing one of those mirrors. The whole structure begins to shake. That is when you see the shift. Charm turns into coldness, confidence turns into tension. The voice that once sounded smooth becomes clipped and uneasy. The person who once laughed at your jokes now looks at you as if you have insulted them. Their silence feels heavy. You might sense an invisible wall rising between you. They will not admit they are angry because admitting that would mean admitting defeat. But their energy reveals everything. That is the quiet rage. It is like a powerful storm trapped behind glass. I once spoke with a young woman who left a long relationship with a deeply narcissistic partner. She said that when she finally stood her ground and walked away without arguing, he did not yell or chase her. He simply stared at her with an empty expression and became completely silent. She said it was the quietest moment she had ever experienced, yet it felt louder than anything else in her life. That silence is the moment the narcissist understands they have lost. Not because you fought harder, but because you stopped playing altogether. What makes this even more revealing is that the silence is not only anger, beneath it is shame, a deep feeling of inadequacy. You showed them a reflection they cannot tolerate, one that proves they are not in control and not as powerful as they pretend. For someone who needs control to feel alive, that truth is unbearable. But this is where your strength truly begins. When you can notice that shift, when you can see charm turn into coldness without taking it personally, you are no longer trapped. You have reclaimed your peace. And that peace is exactly what the narcissist fears the most. So when you notice that quiet rage and their eyes go cold, do not panic. Do not question yourself. Recognize it for what it is. Evidence. It means you broke the spell. You stepped out of the fake world and stopped feeding the person who lived off your confusion. That takes courage. It takes strength to stop seeking approval from someone who never intended to give it. It takes discipline to stay calm when their silence is meant to make you feel guilty. But if you can hold your ground during their quiet fury, you win. You do not win by fighting them. You win by refusing to participate in the fight at all. That is real victory. Their charm turns into rage because they finally met someone they cannot manipulate. If you are that person, you have done something rare. You reclaimed your life from someone who tried to control it. That is the moment you stop merely surviving and begin rising above them. And something else strange happens when you truly move on from a narcissist. When you stop reacting to their games and start living with genuine strength, they do not simply disappear. They transform. They do not transform by becoming healthier people. Instead, they begin copying you. They mirror your confidence, your behavior, your words. They do this because they cannot create those qualities on their own. They can only imitate. You need to understand what is happening. These individuals do not build their own identities. They borrow from others. They construct themselves from pieces of the people around them. They crave admiration, attention, energy, and validation. It is as if they are constantly collecting fragments of personality, assembling a false version of themselves from what they see in you. When you stop feeding them and grow beyond their reach, they panic. Instead of facing their emptiness, they try to become you. They adopt your tone, your values, your habits, as if wearing your skin will grant them your strength. It is unsettling to witness. The person who once mocked your goals suddenly speaks about purpose. The one who dismissed your growth begins sharing motivational messages that sound eerily like your own words. This is not admiration, it is imitation. They are trying to regain control by becoming the very thing that shattered their illusion. They copy because copying is how they survive. A narcissist does not know who they are without someone to draw from. Their identity functions like a parasite. It is a hollow imitation of strength, not the real thing. When you walked away, set boundaries, and grew stronger, you exposed the truth inside them. You revealed the emptiness they tried to hide. Empty things echo. That is why they copy. But do not confuse this with growth. It is not change, it is concealment. They are covering the shame of losing by pretending to have evolved. It is like a predator wearing a disguise and pretending to be harmless. The appearance changes, but the intention does not. If you are not careful, this imitation can pull you back in. You may think they finally understand that they have learned. In reality, they are studying you. They are learning how your strength works so they can attempt to use it against you later. I have seen this pattern many times in families and in therapy. When someone truly grows, those who depended on them being weak begin to copy that growth. Not to share it, but to compete. A person finds their voice and suddenly insecure people around them repeat their words, not because they want to improve, but because they feel threatened. The narcissist does not want to be strong with you. They want to appear stronger than you. That reveals something important. Imitation is their final defense, a desperate attempt to preserve the belief that they are superior. but they cannot sustain it. Real strength does not come from copying. It comes from hardship, honesty, and accountability. They can copy your confidence, but they cannot carry your integrity. They can repeat your words, but they cannot live your truth. Eventually, the mask slips. It always does. Imagine someone holding a mask to their face all day. They can manage for a while, but they cannot truly live that way. Eventually, exhaustion takes over and the mask falls. That is what happens when a narcissist imitates your strength. They wear your identity like a costume until life demands authenticity. Then they collapse because there is no foundation beneath the act. When you see this, when they echo your words and mirror your life, do not react with anger or confusion. Recognize it as confirmation. You became the standard they now measure themselves against. You have become the model they cannot defeat. That is real power. It is not loud or aggressive. It is the kind of power that simply exists without needing to prove itself. If you want to remain free, you must keep moving forward. The moment you stop growing, they will try to catch up and mirror you again. Keep evolving. Keep strengthening yourself. Do not allow their performance to pull you back into liking or trusting them again. The most effective way to defeat a narcissist a second time is to move so far ahead that they are still copying who you used to be. When you notice them imitating your strength, quietly smile to yourself. What they are really admitting, without ever saying it out loud, is that you have become everything they only pretended to be. You have become real, complete, and grounded. They can only stand behind you, stuck in your shadow, desperately trying to imitate your light. One of the most powerful moments of their collapse happens when their mask begins to slip in public. It is both fascinating and sad because it reveals what was always hidden underneath. A frightened, insecure, and desperate person hiding behind a false image of superiority. For years, they made that mask look flawless. The charm, the confidence, the control, all of it was part of the act. But when you defeat them by refusing to play along, that mask does not only crack in private, it starts to slip in front of others. That is when their entire fake world begins to crumble. You have to understand what this means for someone like them. A narcissist survives on how others see them. Their identity is not built on who they truly are, but on the image they project. Appearance is everything. Truth means nothing to them. For a long time, this image works. They fool people with charm, false humility, and a convincing display of confidence. But the moment you walk away and stop supporting that illusion, they lose control of the story they have been telling everyone. When control slips, the mask falls. This happens often. Imagine a manager who always appears calm and authoritative. Then one employee stops falling for the manipulation and begins standing up for themselves. One day during a meeting, that manager snaps for just a moment. The calm expression disappears, the voice sharpens, the eyes harden, the entire room feels the shift, everyone senses it. The mask has slipped. Once people see that crack, they cannot forget it. The image of the perfect leader starts to break apart right in front of them. The same thing happens in personal relationships. A narcissist who is usually charming and entertaining suddenly loses control when the person they once dominated speaks the truth. They overreact to something small, like a comment or even a look. For a brief moment, the cruelty underneath surfaces. Their tone changes. Their posture shifts. You glimpse the hostility that was always hidden beneath the act. Others notice this too. That is when the image begins to collapse. Truth has a way of breaking lies open. It is like sunlight melting thin ice. No matter how much they polish the surface, the mask cannot survive real exposure. When you refuse to accept the narcissist's version of reality, you become that sunlight. You highlight the gap between who they pretend to be and who they actually are. That exposure is unbearable for them because losing their audience is their greatest fear. Think of the mask as a costume in a stage play. It only works when the lights are dim and the audience is far away. But once the lights turn on and people move closer, the seams and makeup become obvious. The illusion disappears. When this happens in real life, when coworkers, friends, or family members start seeing through them, the narcissist begins to unravel. They may lash out, play the victim, or rush to patch the mask with quick excuses. They might say you misunderstood them, that you twisted their words, or that they were only joking, but it no longer matters. The damage is done. People have seen the truth, and once it is seen, it cannot be unseen. This is not just about exposing who they are. It is about you. Your refusal to keep feeding the lie is what causes the mask to fall. You are the one who breaks the spell. You might not even raise your voice. You may simply stand your ground, stay calm, and speak honestly. That calm presence acts like a mirror, reflecting reality back to them and to everyone watching. In that reflection, the mask dissolves. Understand this clearly. When the mask slips, it is not only their defeat, it is your transformation. It means you are no longer trapped in their performance. You are standing in truth, no longer fooled by appearances. You are seeing the real person underneath, and that kind of clarity changes you forever. They will hate it. They will feel exposed and humiliated. They may try desperately to repair the mask and regain control of the narrative, but something irreversible has happened. Once the truth is seen, the illusion loses its power. It becomes like watching a magic trick after learning how it works. The mystery is gone. So when you see the mask slip in public, do not panic. Do not rush to protect them out of guilt or sympathy. Let it fall. That moment is reality correcting a lie. Even if it feels uncomfortable, it is necessary. It marks the end of deception and the beginning of your freedom. That is the real victory. You do not defeat a narcissist by playing psychological games. You defeat them by standing firmly in truth until the mask collapses under its own weight. When that happens, you realize they never truly had power. They borrowed it from your attention, your belief, and your silence. Once you take those away, their fake world collapses, leaving only reality behind. It may feel raw and unsettling, but it is real. That is where true strength begins. When a narcissist finally realizes they have lost, when they can no longer control you or twist reality, they rewrite the story. They become the victim. Suddenly, they are the misunderstood one, the wounded soul who gave everything and was betrayed. The switch happens fast. One moment they are dominant, the next they are broken. This shift is not humility, it is strategy. It is their final attempt to protect their ego. Narcissists cannot tolerate blame. Taking responsibility would force them to face the shame they have avoided all their lives. It would mean admitting they were wrong and not superior. That is unbearable for them. So they rewrite events to protect themselves. You, the one who spoke the truth and moved on, become the villain. They reclaim the role of hero. You may hear phrases like, "After all I did for you," or "You have changed." Understand what that really means. It does not mean they are right. It means they are desperate to keep their illusion alive. It does not mean you became cruel. It means you stopped obeying. You grew. You set boundaries. You took away their control. To them, that feels like betrayal. Their idea of love is about ownership. Their idea of connection is about control. When that ends, they must twist the story to make themselves look good. This pattern appears in families, workplaces, and marriages. Someone finally refuses to be mistreated, and suddenly the narcissist tells a new story to anyone who will listen. They claim they do not understand what happened. They say you turned against them or were ungrateful. They present themselves as the one who suffered the most, the one who cared too deeply. It is a convincing performance, and often it works at first because many people cannot see through it. They hear the sadness and believe it. But the truth is this: what you are witnessing is not genuine pain. It is self-protection. The narcissist is trying to repair their broken self-image. They cannot face a reflection that shows failure, so they alter the reflection instead. Playing the victim allows them to avoid admitting they were defeated by truth. Their storytelling is powerful because they must believe it themselves. It is the only way they can live with what they have done. Think of it like a book they have been writing their whole life. In that book, they are always the hero. Then you refuse to play your assigned role. You stop being the admirer or the scapegoat. You close the book and walk away. They panic because the story cannot continue without you, so they rewrite it. Same events, new meaning. Now you are the enemy and they are the wounded hero. This part is difficult because they will tell this version to friends, coworkers, and family with complete conviction. You might even start doubting yourself. You may wonder if you were too harsh or overreacted. You did not. You simply stopped carrying a burden that was never yours. Remember this: when they use pity as a weapon, when they play the victim to pull you back, they are not seeking healing. They are seeking control. Pity gives them attention, and attention gives them power. When they rewrite the story, do not waste your energy trying to correct it. You cannot pull someone out of a lie they need to survive. Instead, live your truth. Let time do the work. Truth endures, lies decay. Eventually, others will notice the cracks in their story. The performance will wear thin air. While they remain busy defending a false narrative, you will be building a real life grounded in authenticity. When the narcissist turns themselves into the victim, do not fight to be understood by them. You cannot. Their story was never about truth. It was about survival. Let them keep their fiction.